Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and I've gotten some requests to cover this, so I am just absolutely delighted, excited, and downright tickled to announce that the new 2020 net decks are here. Woo! Yes, this is just what I needed in my life, was for Wizards to not only build my deck for me, but to copy said deck from recent tournaments, water it down so it's not worth a whole lot, and then they sell it where everybody plays so that it guarantees mirror matches. Oh, don't forget what it does to the singles prices inside of the decks. Pretty much everybody agrees this is a terrible idea, it's a terrible product, and though they call them challenger decks, they're just bringing back, what were they called back in the day? Event decks, I think. It was before I started playing. But yeah, they just take four what they claim are highly competitive decks, make sure that they aren't actually $400, and then sell you a somewhat functional 80% power version of it to be like, here, net deck with everybody else, yay. We're totally not encouraging it or trying to suppress reporting on statistics about decks. And years ago, they pressured MTG Goldfish to basically just not exist. And everybody who's been at the company for 15 or more years says that net decking completely ruined the game. No, I mean, forget all that and buy this product, clearly. So I'm already sick of talking about this. Let's burn through the intro. Available April 3rd, 2020, the new Challenger decks offer an excellent entry point for jumping into standard events at your local game store. No, build your own damn deck instead of being an asshole. How about that? That's a great starting point. If you want to make any friends at all and not be an asshole and just have people instantly resent the fact that you're there. Oh, but Des, I want to just walk into the store because I don't have any time. I just want to pick up a deck and just play it. First of all, you're lying. And secondly, it's a deck building game. So piss off. Play a different game. If you don't like building decks, draft. So these 4 individual 75 card decks are geared towards standard play for the Friday Night Magic player and forged out of some of the most recognizable strategies in standard. Well, that's one way to put it. Each Challenger deck comes with a complete 60 card main deck and a 50 card sideboard. Yes, I assumed that when you said 75. I'm not stupid. And it's intended to be playable and competitive at a local level right out of the box. Well, I mean, let's not get crazy though, because the highest decks right now are 300 or 400, so they clearly didn't do that. All cards will have been previously printed in standard and are standard legal. These decks will be available worldwide in English, with Japanese available in Japan only. Check out the deck list below to see what's in store. Yeah, I could already tell. Allied Fires. I wonder what's in this one. Is it maybe Fires of Invention times 4? Oh, it is! Okay, let me talk about this one real quick because this one pisses me off more than anything else. There was a tournament. I saw the numbers from it. Fires of Invention, their advantage was too high. Their win percentage was too high. The representation of the top 16 was too high. And I believe that the average advantage over all other decks at the tournament was over 60%. Above 55, they'll investigate. Above 60, they will ban it. Period. That is the only statistic that you can rely on where they will just be like, no. Nope, 60%, this has to go. The only exception is, well, it's been one tournament, let's wait for a second one and see if people adapt to it. As if they should have to. When has free casting ever not been problematic? Because I seem to remember Marvel, And then they're like, well, it must be Emrakul that's the problem. Get a clue, Wizards. So this bullshit not only comes with 3 Sarkhan the Masterless because it wasn't dickish enough already, and 4 Narset, 3 Kasmina, and 2 Saheelis. Oh, we're in for a treat here. Oh, and then Kenrith for some reason, as if that'll work. But yeah, they got it all. They got Deafening Clarion. They got Drawn from Dreams. They got Time Wipe. This is the real dickish version of it. But then we've got 1 Steam Vents, 1 Temple, another Temple, another Temple, and 4 Interplanar Beacons. That actually kind of makes sense. And then just a bunch of lifelands and crap. So they make up for the fact that the mana base is very, very, very lacking and should be 4 temples by just including 27 lands, because you totally build this deck with 27 lands. Actually, I've never played it. You might. I have no idea. I just know historically these decks tend to run way more lands than they would normally do. So yeah, this is probably the number 1 deck I want gone right now. Although, it's so hard to compare this to an Esper Prison archetype or just the same Cavalcade Torbrand bullshit. Mono Red, I am not even kidding, look it up, has been a problem for 2 rotations of standard now. So 2.5 years we've had to put up with this bullshit. It was Goblin Chain Whirler, then it was something else, then it was the land. The red burn, red super speed shit needs to go. I don't care if you want to fly around with some dragons or put some 5-cost shit, do some interesting planeswalkers, cool. anything other than me losing on turn 4 or 5, please. I know you're going to say, but that's what red does in the color pie. It does other things, and guess what? It's time to rely on those other things, because nobody likes losing on turn 4. Nobody. If you don't go first, you basically don't even get to play your deck. It's bullshit. Standard needs to go on for 6 or more turns in every single game. Clearly, anybody who's played the game long enough knows this. If you want to play some short, waste of time to even shuffle your cards level horse shit, go play Modern, okay? That's for you. So next up, we got Final Adventure, which, yeah, it'll be your final adventure because everybody will just shame you and social pressure you out of F&M if you bring this crap. This is Golgari Adventure. It's got the Lucky Clover. It likes to clone stuff. It's got a buttload of removal, and then it wins with the card that never should have been printed, Knight of Ebon Legion, the card that can hit for 8 on turn 4, even though it costs 1 and isn't legendary. I mean, this card is a parade of screw-ups on Wizard's part. So yeah, it's just amplified removal. This is a far weaker version of the deck than anybody really runs. It is running 4 of the Innkeepers and 4 of the Clovers, though, so they know what it's about. They know what they're doing. 23 lands, I feel like that's a little high for this one. Oh, and the sideboard is Massacre Girl, Duress, and Noxious Grasp, among others. Yeah, dick move. Now the third one, unsurprisingly, because they've had 2.5 years to plan this bullshit, Cavalcade Charge. What do you think's in this one? 3 Chandras, 4 Bonecrusher Giants, 4 Fervent Champions, 4 Runaway Steamkins, 4 Torbrands, 4 Rimrock Knights, 4 Scorch Spitters, and 3 Tin Street Dodgers. In other words, it's literally the deck that everybody's playing. There's only 1 Embercleave. I feel like other people might run 2 or just ignore it. There is 4 Cavalcade, and believe it or not, I've seen people run Embercleave Ambush with Torbrand and no Cavalcade. That's how bad red is right now. But yeah, this runs 4 of it. It's 18 mountains and 3 castles. I mean, it's just outlines that a chimpanzee could run this shit. Now it does kind of resort to a one-trick pony style where it's running for sorceries and instants, 4 light up the stage. That's it. No shock, nothing. So it's just creatures hit the go button and no way to get to Cavalcade. So, I mean, it's got some weaknesses opened up in it compared to what I normally see, but it's still an absolute and complete disgrace to the game. And by the way, there are 4 shocks in the sideboard. 3 Experimental Frenzies in case they could stop you. There is Satyr's Cunning and Slaying Fire. There's Tybalt. And finally, we have Flash of Ferocity, which is what you're going to see from your opponent when they pick up their chair and throw it at you across the table. It's Simic Flash, just Simic Flash control counterspells. Now looking at the deck list, this is a joke compared to what people actually play, and I haven't seen this deck that much anymore. But yeah, it's play everything backwards, draw, go. That's literally what it is, draw, go. You draw, you pass, and then you counter whatever they do, and then if you don't burn a counterspell to have some mana, flash in a creature. You play Magic completely and utterly backwards on your opponent's turn. It's annoying. It doesn't let your opponent do anything. It doesn't let them play their deck at all. So wait, let's see here. Allied Fires. You're going to board wipe, you're going to counterspell, you're going to absolutely destroy them, you're going to shut them down with basically a prison-level lineup of Planeswalkers. You don't even let your opponent play their deck as long as you can get Fires of Invention out and keep it on the field. Otherwise, you lose. If they can remove it, your deck does basically nothing and you're screwed. So Fragile, Stupid, Beatable, One-Trick Pony. Then we've got Final Adventure, which has duplicated, replicated control effects and overpowered creatures. So no matter what they do, you're going to remove it or you're going to counter it. And it doesn't even let your opponent play their deck. Then you got Cavalcade Charge, which wins on turn 4 and doesn't even let them play their deck. And then you got Flash of Ferocity, which is a backwards draw goal, doesn't even let your opponent play their deck. Are you sensing a pattern here? Because I am. This is why I said, look at the last tournament results, okay? When I said ban everything, I'm being completely and entirely serious about it, okay? The power level is too high, and the power level is too high because they made the power level too high. They admitted it. They said exactly what set they started ramping up the power level with, and you should be doubly pissed off when you read why, because they told us it's because they want to sell the cards to Modern and Commander players. So they want to make Standard less accessible, more expensive, and a higher power level so that the decks get completely out of control, coming off of the back of 15 cards getting banned in Standard in 3 years. They thought upping the power level was a good idea. And with all 4 of these decks and all 3 of the other popular decks right now, every single one of them is broken because of 1 or 2 individual cards that are just like mind-blowingly careless and never should have made it through R&D. But they pushed them through R&D and play testing despite their protests because we want to sell cards to Commander and Modern people, because a popular card in Standard is $3. A popular card in Modern, Standard, and Commander is $20. Oh, but you just want to play Standard because Modern is too expensive. Well, too bad. You're buying from the same pool. It's the same price. Fork over $80, asshole. Oh, and another $100 for the mana base. That's why Standard is such a shit show right now. So the result of all these overpowered pushed cards is all of the decks you're seeing right now. And like I said, none of them can be beat except for by each other. It's basically Amonkhet all over again, where you better be playing one of 2 decks or you have 0 chance of winning. 0. These decks are too perfect. A lot of them are 3 colors, so they have answers to everything. And if they don't beat you in the first game, they'll beat you with the sideboard because they can do anything with 3 colors. That's how the color pie works. Every ability, every effect is redundant at least twice. So if you're playing 3 colors, you can literally do anything. The result is what we typically refer to as a Swiss Army sideboard. So yeah, the decks are balanced, they can already deal with most of the threats, and the only thing that can directly challenge them is a deck that's equally broken or a downright assassin deck. Well, assassin decks don't work, when there's 7 popular decks, because you're not going to go up against that deck consistently that you built your deck to beat. Now, if it's down to just 2, okay, usually it's doable, kind of, but then you better hope you don't play against anything else, which is not very realistic at FNM or on Arena. So at the end of the day, the real solution to overpowered decks is ban them, get rid of them. In fact, don't print them in the first place. I mean, there you go. So yeah, everything that's popular right now needs to be banned. I am not kidding. That is what's wrong with the game. They've admitted that they did it on purpose. We've got the whole chain. I've got the whole damn court case. Bang the gavel. It's over. Guilty. They did it. They pushed the power level, and oh look, a bunch of, impossible to compete with decks, and they're all too powerful. I wonder how that happened, except they literally wrote like an article, like a small documentary on how it happened. So back to the whole why didn't they ban Fires of Invention thing? Because then nobody would buy this deck. This deck would literally be not legal to play. It's literally a Fires of Invention deck. If you take out that card, it does nothing. The deck doesn't function. It's a shitty, no draw, overpriced, get to 5 mana before you can do anything deck. It would not function even at a basic level. So why they didn't ban it is because they need to sell this deck. They come in sets of 4, and if you get stuck with 1, that's bad. If you get stuck with 2, that's really bad. And we all know from Commander, one of them is the weak one. In fact, usually if it's 5, there's 2 of them that store owners always get stuck with and have to put on clearance eventually. So if one of them's already going to be weaker than the rest, the adventure one, then you can't eliminate a second one. You can't do it. Nobody would touch this product and the distributors would get stuck with it. No stores would ever be able to sell out of their first wave, and that would be that. So once again, they knew it was too broken. They knew that free casting had gone out of control. They knew that it completely dominated the tournament, but they couldn't ban it because the challenger deck was already finalized. That's great. That's just absolutely wonderful. Thanks, Wizards. With what they stated the approximate lead time is, I can prove the timeline that is almost definitely true. Now, at the very next tournament, some more overpowered shit came out. People are still playing Fires. It's still like top 4ing tournaments, but there are other decks now. So it's not quite the 60% plus domination that it used to be. And the argument could be made that that's why they didn't ban it. They are a wait-and-see kind of company, but I think that even if it dominated 5 tournaments in a row and became 75% of the meta, or with a 75% edge against the other Tier 1 decks, they still wouldn't ban it. They can't. They can't ban it. You can't not sell this Challenger deck, and that's the number one reason that these bullshit products should not exist. Anything in these decks is now completely off the table for banning. They would lose millions if they banned one of these strategies. Millions. They'd actually have to recall the product. Either that or unseal it and redo one of the decks and repackage it and then recycle the rest. It would be a financial disaster. They can't do it. So why not just print older strategies that work? Well, sometimes they do. They mix them in. And really, honestly, with the 2+ month lead time, what if those decks aren't popular anymore? And by popular, I mean have any chance of winning anymore. What if all of a sudden now everybody's running enchantment removal because of, I don't know, Fires, but then there's an even older deck that ran enchantments pretty heavy and needed them to win. Oops, now everybody's playing counters for it. That's not a viable deck anymore. That's why the lead time is both too long and too short. So what they should do is just drop the damn product, clearly. So yeah, don't support this bullshit. Do not buy one of these decks. And if you see anybody buying these, call them a lazy, shortcutting, clueless net decker and tell them they should not bring it to F&M if they don't want to get dirty looks. And then if anybody does bring it to F&M, give them dirty looks. They absolutely deserve it. So this is by far the worst product that they've brought back in years. Really ever. Since I've ever started playing the game, this is the number one worst product. It does such bad things to the game. It screws with the ban decisions. It promotes net decking. It promotes mirror matches. It lowers the price of the cards that are crucial to the most popular decks. There is no upside other than lazy assholes can walk in, pay money, and oh, look, a deck I can play with. Which, with like 50 more clicks, you could just go to like Card Kingdom and do. Just copy it from MTG Goldfish and just hit buy. Like, I think you can literally import stuff into the cart from there. And you know what? Trying to kill sales at a local level is never going to happen. Go on social media and make sure you tell Wizards what you think about this ridiculous product. Don't support it in any way. What we need is a huge backlash over this that they'll reconsider and not do it again next year. And you know what? If you really want to teach people a lesson, Wizards, wait for, a couple weeks for the Fires of Invention deck to sell and then ban it. That'll teach them a lesson for buying it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Wish I had better news, but I'll see you guys next video.